And then Harlan is going to give you some of the news that has taken place, including the press conference that just went on with the president. And then we'll come in together. We'll kind of close out together and see how this sort of format works. I will just give you one more update before I get into something I wrote this morning, which is that we are here together today at the new studio, putting things together, working around the clock. Harlan came out today, just with us testing things, new programs, new video programs, new trending programs, you name it. We're trying to get it all done here. And so that said, we are now at time. It's time to go. So earlier today, actually, I think I want to explain to you one more time. I've done this before, but let me explain to you one more time how it is that I go about things and getting the news out to you. Every morning I wake up, it's pretty much about 6:30 in the morning, and I have a bunch of different programs I look at, and I take a look at what's trending, maybe what some of the other media outlets are ignoring because they don't think it's a big enough story, et cetera, so forth. And I put it through my little algorithm to make sure that I know that I can put my name on it. And I start putting those stories up on the big board. We call it the editor's desk for all my my morning writers to begin writing. And these writers are spread out throughout the country. We have people in California, people in Texas, people in Florida, people in Kansas, you name it, they're all over the place. And so periodically I'll pick a story out that I need to address myself, and I'll write an op-ed. What got to me this morning was a video that I found on Fox News. And it was the video, it only lasted about 26 seconds, but it really hit me. The video was a news report of something that happened in Indiana earlier this week. A grandfather was coming home from work, and his car was hit by another car. That car was being driven by a woman. She was an illegal alien, and she was drunk. So now we have a grandfather who is dead. His life, his entire life. He gave birth to children, I'm assuming, obviously. They got married. They had kids. He was married. Worked probably harder than any other person should. I mean, he's a grandfather. He's still out there working. You live your whole life. You got your family. You got everything. You're coming home from a shift. And you lose that life. The one and only life that you get. There is no hitting a button for the makeover. There is no hitting a button for redo. There is no fake or real news. It's reality 100%. This man is dead. And he's dead because America does not enforce its immigration laws. This man is dead because some entrepreneur or some big business wanted cheap labor. This man is dead because Barack Hussein Obama has given more to the illegal alien community than he has to veterans, than he has to American workers, than he has to children who are American children. He went out of his way to ensure the fact that illegal aliens could remain in this country. But I'm not going to blame it all on him. I'm going to blame it on Bush behind him and Clinton behind him. And believe it or not, the beloved Ronald Reagan. Although I do think that he remains the greatest president in my lifetime, he was a fantastic communicator and a great leader. He was completely dead wrong and lost to give amnesty to 4 million illegal aliens. And in many regards, I blame a lot of what we have today on his poor decision-making. The part that gets me, and the part that my op-ed focused on, was what President Trump has done so far in almost his first 30 days in office. Yeah, he's done a lot. He's signed a lot of executive orders. He tried to stop people from 7 terror-laden countries coming into our country. I get it. He has been fighting, and Harlan's going to get into this in the next couple of minutes. He's been fighting an unfair, totally dishonest, biased, can't find its buttocks with both hands press. And, you know, he's the sort of personality that's going to try to take it on his own. And nothing I'm going to be able to say, or you're going to be able to say, no letter you can write, no email you can send, that is going to change who he is. He is determined that he is going to try to break the media on his own. In doing so, I hope he doesn't break himself. But beyond that, there's one thing I am highly disappointed in. And I say this not because I enjoy criticizing the president. I have backed him for years, every single day. In some cases, you could say that I've lost money, I've lost friends, I've lost my job hosting a television show because of my dedication to the president. But beyond my dedication to him and my support for him is a dedication to my fellow citizens and to this United States of America. I should say to these United States of America. President Trump, on his first day, should have signed an executive order that sent home every illegal alien in this country. This is not a hard thing to do. You know, yesterday, if you remember during the walk and talk, real quickly, I showed you a plumber that was here. And before we went on the walk and talk, he came up the stairs and he said, you know, you look so familiar. Well, it turned out to be that he and I are pretty much from the same town where we grew up. And he said, you know, he goes, I thought maybe I met you in college. I said, I didn't go to college. He said, you didn't go to college? I said, no, I didn't go to college. He said, well, you got a lot of success for a guy who didn't go to college. I said, actually, I went to college 5 times. I did. I've tried college 5 times. I don't have one credit to my name. I just couldn't get it. So I'm not a college-educated guy. I have no formal education. My education is that of the streets. My education is that of self-taught. My education is that of common sense. I've got a diploma in common sense. And the common sense tells me that if you cut off the money and you cut off the incentive to these people, not only will they not come, but they will go home. And so instead, what I see, and for those of you who say, DML, I'm going to delete your app and I'm going to delete you forever, see you later. Because the truth of the matter is you don't want the truth. What it is, you want me to pet. You want me to pet the topics in a way that make you feel better. That's not my job. My job is to tell you when you got the cancer spot on your shoulder. So this way we could address it and make it better before it turns into stage 4. Let's catch it when it's stage 1. You want me to ignore it and just tell you, oh, no, you just got some kind of tendonitis. Don't worry about it. No, I'm going to tell you what is. And here's what is. We're wasting precious time. We should have been sending home people from day 1. Because let me tell you what the president has said. The president has said that he's going to focus first on the gang members. He's going to focus first on the drug dealers and the criminals. Well, I get it. He's going to clean up the streets. Here's the problem with that. Here is the problem with that. Although I want that trash out of this country, the fact of the matter is that gang members don't go out and kill civilians. Gang members kill gang members, by and large. Drug dealers don't go out and kill civilians. What they do is they sell drugs. Criminals, it's too late to send home the criminals. Because here is what had to happen with this man in Indiana. Now that this woman, this illegal alien who drove drunk and killed a man, now she's up for deportation because now she's a criminal. Yeah, we had to wait for some grandfather to die. So this way we can now designate her as a criminal. Well, aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky? cut off the money. It's one sentence on a piece of paper. Effective immediately. E-Verify is mandatory in this country. Donald J. Trump. Send these people home. You talk about protecting American lives and American workers? You want to protect American workers? Send these people home. Last time I checked, gang members and drug dealers aren't working the full-time jobs that Americans want. It's this woman who just DWI'd and killed a man. She's the one who's working the jobs Americans want. They're the most dangerous ones. As far as I'm concerned, they're the ones who are more dangerous than the drug dealers and the gang members. Get rid of them. That is how you protect American lives. That is how you protect American jobs. Open up the job market back to the carpenters, back to the truck drivers, back to the restaurant workers. And for those of you who are going to come back to me and say, oh yeah, DML, I'm not going to see, Johnny Q, whoever, going out and picking grapes or picking lettuce. Guess what? The visa program that we have provides an unlimited amount of crop workers. Did you know that? Probably didn't, because they don't talk about that on television. The reason why you have illegal workers working farms and crops is because the farmers and the ranchers don't want to pay these people on the books. Now, I can understand that. It's very hard to make money in farming. Gee, with all the regulations, I don't understand how they stay in business, to be quite honest. One of the women who worked for us, she actually lives on a farm. Her husband is a farmer. I was just telling her the other day about all the risk being assumed here in trying to do what we're doing here. Yeah, you guys are sending me donations, and I love it, and I appreciate it. Just last night, we bought a $15,000 video mixer. It's imperative that we have one. Without you, I wouldn't have bought it. But at the same time, as I'm pouring my own money into this, And so I said to her, I said, I don't think you understand, how high risk this is for me. And she says, what are you talking about? I don't understand how high risk it is for you. Yes, I do. I said, I'm sorry. Can you tell me how you do? She says, yeah, sure. Every year, my husband basically plays Russian roulette with $100,000. How does that happen? He goes out and he plants his crop for $100,000. And the turbine's going to break down, and this is going to break down. And there are things that we can't control. If we get a dry season, we're screwed. If it rains too much, we're screwed. She said, we do it. We understand the risk, Dennis, every single year. And you know what else we know? We know that a bushel of corn this year is selling far less than last year. We don't control these things. These things are out of our control. So sure, if some of the regulations they didn't have to go through were lifted, maybe the farmers out there in the country would be able to actually use this visa program as the way it's designed. Until the President of the United States honestly and truthfully cracks down on this problem, I am telling you, as your friend, as your trusted news guy, as a dedicated American, and as somebody who watched a video this morning and had his heart break over thinking about the phone call that went in to those children and those grandchildren, that daddy and grandpa are dead because of somebody who shouldn't have been here. That is devastating. It doesn't make the death any different than if an American got drunk and killed that man. We still have a problem in drinking and driving. I get it. Death is death. But it's got to pain you. It's got to kill you inside. To think that if the government you have been paying taxes to your entire life, that if the government that either you or a family member have fought for in a war would actually just get its stuff together, that he would be alive. That is tragic. That is tragic. And that gets me upset. I'm sick and tired of hearing the president and CNN and every other last person, including you, use that term fake news this, what's real, what's not, what's this. It's a baby's game. It's a baby's game. I'm disappointed in everybody. You want what real news is? Look at the video of the man in Indiana. There's no questioning whether it's fake or real. It's real. And if it is not enough for you to watch the video, go to the man's funeral this weekend. See if that's real enough for you. Real news, fake news, Russian this, Russian that. Let's get our house in order. The press and the media have a responsibility to the people of this country. They're supposed to be the fourth estate. They're supposed to be working for you. They don't do that anymore. The President of the United States is bigger than these morons. Let them go. Let them go. Who cares if they're fake or not? Just get the job done. I come on here every day and I say the same stuff and it's getting monotonous. I'm getting tired of hearing my own voice. Every single day it's the same thing. I just sent the guy an email yesterday. Give me a damn reply. Get your shit in order. I cursed again. Damn, Harlan.
It's my fault.
Throw something at me. Get it in order. Oh, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I had a woman yesterday send me an email. She says, I loved your whole thing. I watched it with a 4-year-old. My 4-year-old watches it. And now he knows that Putin is a scumbag. She told me. Sorry. At least I told him the truth. At least I told him the truth. Well, you know what? The world is a bad place. And periodically people squeeze out a curse word. I apologize. I shouldn't be doing that. I'm bigger and better than that. But I was sitting at the table this morning with Mary. She's making me my English muffin. And as she's doing it, I said, damn it. And I hit the table. And she's like, what? And I played this story. One of these days, it's God forbid, knock on wood. One of these days, it's going to be one of your people, one of your family members, if it hasn't already. God forbid, one of the days, it's one of mine. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm going home tonight, an illegal alien turns around and pops me, from behind or from the side. Oh, well, that poor DML, we really liked him. Yeah, I'm not around anymore because Obama and Bush and Clinton were more busy jerking around doing who knows what. Because Reagan was politically correct? Because Trump is too busy having arguments about real news? Give me the job. I send these people home in 2 seconds flat. You could do all the march and protests you want. I wouldn't even answer it. I wouldn't even answer it. They're going home. That's it. Bottom line. Case closed. End of story. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a misogynist. You call me whatever you want. Call me president. That's what he forgets. He's the president. All right, Harlan.
Ready?
I'll let Harlan jump in here for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee. He's going to tell you some of the stuff that's taking place. And we'll be back and we'll do something together, all right? Hold on for a second. All right, come on in, big guy.
Hey, guys. That's classic DML. If you guys were around for the Unfiltered show on Newsmax, that was his opening monologue every night. It's actually good to hear that again. So, but let's get into some of the news from this conference. I kind of want to unpack it in case you guys missed it. One, Donald Trump deserves a lot of respect for stepping up and defending Flynn. The easy thing to do at this point in time, when you have some sort of personnel issue or you have an issue with somebody like Flynn that's been dragged through the mud by the press and even by the CIA and the FBI, is to stab them in the back. Trump didn't do that today. His quote was, "The reason that I fired him was because he didn't tell the vice president the full truth. I asked for his resignation and he respectfully gave it. And with that said, I think he's a fine man." Now that is something that you don't see very often, because the cheap political points that Trump could score here would be to just slam him and run him through the mud and say that he betrayed him or whatever. That's what a normal politician would do. Trump didn't do it in this case. The next thing I saw, and I'm glad that Trump went on the record, you and I know this, he said that he had no investment or ties to Russia. He said, quote, "I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. I don't talk to," he's going on the record trying to debunk this ridiculous narrative that's come out of the left, that's come out of the mainstream media, that the reason that Russia's in the news, that Russia, may prefer Trump to Hillary, was because they have some sort of personal connection. That's total unsubstantiated garbage. Total unsubstantiated garbage. When you actually look at it, you go back to the election. I know we don't need to dwell on the election forever, but let's go back to it for a second. Only one candidate was financially benefited by selling uranium to the Russians, a quarter of the American stockpile to the Russians, and she benefited directly through the Clinton Foundation. Donald Trump never benefited at the expense of the American people, at the expense of national security to help the Russians. Only one of them had the Russian reset, which was a total abdication and an embarrassment on the international stage. It's just, thank God, we've taken a step in the right direction. The next thing that I saw, and he's kind of talking about some of what I've just mentioned, is that he said he inherited a mess, and I think this is important to frame everything that we've seen over the last couple of months. You have to remember, Donald Trump's only been the president of the United States for 3 weeks. He's only been the president of the United States for 3 weeks. He's accomplished a lot. And I want to get to that in a minute. But, he's laying it out. I inherited ISIS, a threat in the Middle East that was spreading like cancer, and it's still there. And he's going to have to put out that fire. He's inherited an economy that's moving far too slow. There's a lot to do. And Donald's got to get some help. And one thing that I didn't hear from Trump is I didn't hear anything about Congress. I didn't hear anything about Paul Ryan. I didn't hear anything about McConnell. That's telling, because while Trump's accomplishing a lot, he staffed the White House, he's sent a Supreme Court nominee to the Senate for confirmation. He sent dozens of cabinet nominees to the Senate for confirmation. He's gotten huge discounts on military products from Boeing and Lockheed Martin. He signed an executive order to start building a wall. He signed an executive order to defend the United States against threats coming from terrorist hotbeds. And he's getting zero help from Congress. Zero help from Congress in 3 weeks. We've gotten zero from them. No help on the wall, no help on the travel ban, no help on taxes. Where's the tax reform? We were promised that on day one. No repeal of Obamacare. That had to come through an executive order by Donald Trump. There was, Ann Coulter was talking about this last night. There were dozens of times that the House Republicans passed repeals of Obamacare. Dozens. And they've been in total power for 3 weeks. And where's the repeal of Obamacare? We were promised that on day one. We were promised tax reform on day one. All we have is a 200-day plan from McConnell and Ryan. These are two guys, and I've said it to you guys before, I don't trust these guys as far as I can throw them. They stabbed him in the back during the election, just weeks before the election. They stabbed him in the back. They didn't think he was going to win, so they bulldozed him. They've got no respect for Trump. They're not doing their work. They've been there for going on 4 weeks. No movement on the wall. No movement on the travel ban. No help on taxes. No repeal of Obamacare. Where's the sense of urgency? Part of the problem is I think that, and there's DML there in the background admiring our landscape. I think part of the problem, and I'll be honest with you guys, is that 90% of House Republicans got reelected last year. And I think that you guys, I mean, if you have an interest in running, you need to step up, because these guys don't have Trump's best interest at heart. They're establishment hacks. And if they weren't, then they'd get to work. So that's what I got to say about that. You want to weigh in, DML?
What were you just talking about?
Talking about how Congress isn't moving. They're putting it all on Trump's shoulders. He's signing all these executive orders, but where's the tax reform? Where's the help on the wall? Where's Obamacare? So anyway, and let's get back
to this press conference.
I did. I that's how I got into it, because I was saying he didn't mention it. Let's see, and then the next thing that he went on is that he's going to actually sign a new executive order on the travel ban next week. So that's pretty reassuring. I think that they should have done this from the beginning. I don't know, maybe you disagree, DML, but I think they should have done this from the beginning. They should have worked with lawyers to more carefully craft this executive ban, so it didn't leave any room for interpretation by the courts. Because, of course, a liberal circuit is just going to try to roadblock him wherever they can. So, bare minimum.
It's the same thing on the wall. I told you the same thing on the wall. What's going to happen with the wall is that the wall is going to get nailed by the environmentalists and by the lawyers. And I've already said it to you a million times before. Not everybody on the border who owns property on the border is a conservative. Yeah. Some of these people are making money on this whole stuff. They don't want it to stop. So it's going to be, I think the problem with Donald Trump as president is the fact that, and this is the downside for having business guys. You know this. I want the wall. I want my own video wall downstairs. I take a look at it. I want it moved up. We moved it up here today. I said we need to move this up here today. We didn't go through committees. We didn't go hiring somebody. We didn't go get an analysis of whether it would look better in this room or downstairs. We picked it up. We moved it up. We put it down. And we made our own decisions. That's the world that Trump comes from. Trump comes from the world to where you say you're going to do something, you do it, and then you get going. In this case, he's got to go through processes. And so now he's got to rely on other people. He's going to have roadblocks along the way. And that's why there's some frustration here, because we're saying, hey, why isn't this done already? And the fact of the matter is that some of it's not done because you just can't get it done, like this ban thing. Well, when I heard the ban, let me just finish this out. When I heard the ban thing, I was like, okay, that's great. But I know it ain't going to fly. Because there's so many different moving components to it. The key here is to turn off the money. Because if in this particular case, if you make E-Verify mandatory, it's just one line. If you cut off the money, most of the people who are here, they're gonna go home on their own, and you don't have to do anything. Zero. The wall doesn't fix it all. I mean, the other thing, you brought this up on another Walk and Talk recently, is that only half of the people that come here illegally come through the border. The other half are overstaying visas. They fly in through an airport. So the wall's not going to solve all the problems. You're our friend.
Oh, there you go. So that was most of it. I don't want to get into. I'm tired of talking about how the mainstream media is out to get him. I mean, I feel like we're a broken record. We're talking about that every day. I don't know why he's stepping up in this press conference, and he spent. It seems like he spent about half of it trashing the media.
He did.
Even when he was taking questions, he would trash the person that was asking the question.
He's. I know this because I'm the same kind of person. He is a type A personality, and he is a very proud man. And he worked really, really hard. He worked harder than any other presidential candidate I have ever witnessed in my life. Kudos to that. I mean, one of the things I've said about him over and over again is that this guy worked 7 days a week, 18 months straight. I mean, I'm here yesterday to you guys crying, oh, I worked 7 days, I got the sniffles, I look fat, Trump looks better than he did 18 months ago. So the guy has worked really hard, and he's overcome unbelievable odds against him to become the president of the United States. I think where he's missing it, and it's easy for me to sit here, you to sit here, and be Monday morning, Tuesday morning quarterbacks, because we're not in his spot. So that's why we cut him the slack, and we're not slamming him. We're saying, look, there's a couple things you could do to make your life a little easier. And that's why I say a lot of times he's not surrounded by enough people that understand this stuff. And I want him to be surrounded by more people. That's why I want to have a conversation with him. He's getting frustrated. And that frustration's coming out in this press conference. He's showing the sort of emotion that they're criticizing him for. He's only layering on more difficulty for himself because he works so hard, he cares so much, he's not the villain they make him out to be, and he's at this point trying to scream, will you just stop? But the thing he doesn't understand, he's dealing with a different beast. The more he keeps on screaming stop, the more he keeps on screaming you're this, you're this, you're this, the more they're going to fight back.
Yeah.
They're more than going to fight back. And I think in this particular case, it's just like this. If I start screaming at him and he gets up and walks away, I got nobody to fight with. If he starts going back and forth, we're going to start going back and forth, and I'll try to overpower him. He's going to try to overpower me. He's just got to walk away. Just walk away. Let them report whatever they want to report. Just come back with results. Here's something I thought about while I was pouring my coffee. This morning, he started off with a tweet about the fact that we've had 5 days consecutive of record-breaking numbers on the stock market. 5 days, we haven't had that in 25 years. That's an accomplishment. Let me explain to you, for those of you who don't understand how the stock market works. The stock market is based on what's called futures. So here we are today, and you buy a stock not based on where you think it is today, but where you think it's going to be tomorrow. So when you see the stock market going up, this is investor sentiment saying, hey, it's going to be better. Hey, it's going to get better. That's a great thing. I had a woman the other day, last night, I was answering some of the, my wife just texted me, nobody wants to be yelled at. You're right, honey. You're right, honey. Nobody wants to get yelled at. You're right. Is it me that doesn't want to get yelled at, or you don't want to get, or Trump doesn't want to get yelled at? I get a text. I don't know what she means. She'll probably follow up with it. But I'll come down off my my passionate perch. The stock market's based on futures. So when you've got an investor takes a look, and investors are very sophisticated people, very sophisticated people. They don't just go off emotion, they don't go off gut, it's a little bit of it. But what they do is they look at charts. They look at what's called a waterfall chart in some cases. They'll do different analysis. They'll take a look at, all right, if the president's going to do this and the president's going to do that, how is it going to make things happen as a reaction? The fact that investors are continuing to pour more money in, not just 1 day, not 2 days, not 3 days. We've had 5 record days. I haven't checked it today. I bet you today's going to be number 6. That says that sophisticated people, ones who sit there on spreadsheets and get paralysis by analysis, they're saying, hey man, we're looking at things that are going to be shiny. He should be sticking on that. That's what we should be driving home 50,000 times over. But what happened this morning was that he put out that tweet, and then right after that tweet, he went right back into the fake news. He went right back into General Flynn. Flynn's gone. He's gone. We need to move on. He needs to move on. If he stops talking about it, they'll stop talking about it. If they want to keep on talking about it, don't acknowledge it. Get up and walk out of the room.
Yeah.
Stick on the stock market. Stick on jobs. We just had retail numbers coming out the other day. Yeah. Retail numbers, people spending money at retail stores is going up. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
This means this is consumer confidence. Let's focus on that. Make that the narrative. Let the people throughout this country, no matter whether they're Republicans or Democrats, let them tune in at nighttime and see that story instead of what we saw here a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Well, the one thing I would focus on that's kind of a negative are these leaks. It is clear that there are some rogue actors in the CIA and FBI that are trying to undermine the President of the United States, which might be unprecedented in recent history. And the leaks are real. The leaks are real. This is not fake news. And he said it doesn't matter right now. He said it didn't matter when they leaked the call that he had with the Mexican president. It didn't matter when they leaked the call, with the president of Canada. It doesn't matter when they're leaking these routine calls. What it's going to matter is when he's talking to somebody on a sensitive line about North Korea's nuclear arms. It's going to matter when he's talking to our allies in Israel about a potential terrorist attack. This is when it's going to matter. And so the fact that you have rogue actors in the intelligence community that are undermining the President of the United States, that are withholding intelligence from him, is a real concern.
That whole thing that came out this morning, that the intelligence officials are not telling the president how they're getting their information. You can't. If I say to Harlan right now, I heard somebody has your bank account number. The first question he's going to say to me is, who told you that?
Yeah.
So if I say, well, the guy at the deli,
Yeah.
he's going to say, okay, I'm not worried about it. If I say, your wife, all of a sudden now it becomes a different story. So you can't give the president only half the story. And the reason why they don't want to give the half the story is because they're afraid it's going to be leaked. There are leaks in every White House. There have been leaks in every single White House. If you actually go back, there have been leaks in every single White House. But the media wants to make this an even bigger story because it's one more thing at chopping at Trump. If you've got a leak in your White House, keep it inside. Start doing your investigation inside. You know, Trump talks about all the time not allowing his enemy, right? Think about this. Maybe this is a good scenario. Trump all the time talks about ISIS and how he would go about ISIS. And that if he were to attack ISIS, he's not going to tell you how he's going to attack ISIS. Why am I going to let my enemies let them know what I'm doing? Why am I going to telegraph? I think he needs to take that same approach here. Why am I going to let this press know what's bothering me inside? Why am I going to let this press know what's got me angst inside? We're going to internally figure out who is leaking this stuff, and we're going to solve our problem with doing it. That's your question. That's your statement.
Yeah.
Goodbye. End of the day.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, when you look at and I'll let you jump back in at this.
Yeah.
When you look at what Trump has been dealing with, overall, he did a pretty good job. I mean, he did a pretty good job. He's out there. He's trying to get back in front of the press. He's trying to get his message out. He knows they want to kick him in the shins no matter what. He feels like it's him versus an ocean of guys, an ocean of gals, all with a pen and a typeboard and a phone and everything else, trying to do everything they can to undermine him, to destroy him. Give him credit for having to take that fight on. And in many cases, keeping his cool. He's a little frustrated. You can see whenever he rambles, he's a little frustrated. But you know what? Overall, give him credit because right now he must feel like the world is against him. And they're testing him.
Yeah.
Russians are testing him. Everybody's testing him. And all I would like to say is, you know what, President? Remember how much confidence you have in yourself. Remember what got you to this point to begin with. It's all about you, your narrative, and your belief in yourself. Don't allow these bad actors to try to undermine you. Blow them off. They're irrelevant. They mean nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is that enough with the press conference? Because there are some other news stories.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, one is, so following up on Trump's win, on Brexit, on the Italians moving towards potentially exiting the European Union, we saw the day that a lot of forecasting models are predicting that Marine Le Pen is going to win. She's going to be the next president of France. And so she's somebody that's really tough on immigration. She's tough on radical Islamic terrorism. And so she's following in the same footsteps as Trump. And so this is a big moment. This is a big moment because I think that it forecasts the decline of the European Union. And the reason for it, the sole reason for it, is immigration. They're tired of illegal immigrants and refugees flooding into France. And if you can go look up these videos, and we'll try to put one up on DennisMichaelLynch.com, the camps that exist in the streets of Paris. The beautiful streets of Paris, lined with refugees, with trash in the street, with tents, with and crime. It's awful, and it's not safe. And so the French have had enough. And they said, we're not going to do this anymore. And if you're here illegally, we're going to send you back. That's what Marine Le Pen's running on. And so it's interesting to see that finally being applied in Europe. The other place that we're seeing that is that in Turkey, they're no longer accepting, or they're trying to curb Muslim refugees that are coming from parts of Russia. And so it's interesting because this move, it's the media tries to portray Donald Trump as some radical for wanting to limit migration from terror hotbeds. But across the globe, we're seeing this happen. This is not the exception. This is what everyone's doing. So,
look, think about this in your own life. You get $5, right? You got your wife, and you got 2 kids, right? Each one of them cost you $1. You got $1 left over. What are you going to do with the $1? But when you send in so many people to a country, what you're asking those citizens to do is to take those $5, pay for your wife, your 2 kids, and these 2 other people that came. Why? Why do I forget about the national security aspect for a second? Yeah. Just look at the economics. And so that's the situation. This is why what Harlan just said, As he's saying this, I'm saying, my goodness, I remember going on the Kelly file. I remember being with Megyn Kelly at the commercial break and saying, Megyn, I'm telling you right now, when we come in here, you got to acknowledge immigration as being the number one thing. That's the number one thing. You know, I get the look. And I'd say all the time, immigration is the number one problem. It's the first thing I ever said, ever on television. For WPIX 11 in New York, little tiny place, had me on. It was like Sunday morning at 5:30 in the morning. Nobody's watching. And he talked about my first movie, They Come to America, right? And he was the first guy to give me a shot to be on television. And he started off the interview with, is this a protest film? I said, no, it's a Wake Up America film. And this is back in 2010, 11, maybe 12, 10, 11. I said, no, immigration is the number one issue facing this country, and most people won't recognize it until the years to come. You can take our story and you can plug it into Europe. It's the same thing. It's the world of numbers. Again, even pretend that all the migrants that coming in, refugees, illegals, whatever, pretend that they were all peace-loving, God-loving, I just want to do nothing but give you a big kiss kind of person. And I'm sick. I shouldn't be doing it. Harlan's going to call in sick tomorrow. That's all right.
Yeah,
I didn't really kiss
HR.
him. Yeah, that's right. I don't know if I give out sick days.
Yeah, okay.
All right, there's no sick days. Harlan, you got to work every day, sick or not. Okay, so going back, if you looked at it just from an economic standpoint, and go back to what I did using the example of the money, what you're doing by flooding in these countries with so many people is you're taking the money away from your citizens to give it to them. Now, go back to this. If I've got $5 and I got to spend $4 on my family and I got $1 extra, because I'm American, because I'm a good Christian, there's a portion of that dollar which I'm going to give. I'm going to give to, especially if I get a couple of months in a row and I got a bunch of little more dollars, I give some. I donate. I help out. But what you're doing now is you're stripping me the ability not only to take care of my own family, but I can't even be charitable because you're just taking from me. You're taking from me to give to somebody else. And when you flood those numbers too much, when you make a 5 pound of a bag of potatoes have 15 pounds in it, eventually it's going to break. And every country is seeing the same thing. Europe is seeing it. We're seeing it. And it's all, and do you know who's next? Mr. Trudeau. Mr. Obama in white skin. That's what he is. Obama in white skin. Mr. Canadian Trudeau. Oh, send them all to me. Yeah. He's going to send them all to him. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to push them down to us. He's going to say, I can't do this. The Canadian people don't want that. We have people here from Canada watch us. They're like, DML, I love what you say. But they don't want that. Who asked for that? Who asked? Who here in America? Raise your hand if you asked Congress to please take in over 1 million people every single year here to the U.S. legally. Nobody's raising their hand. Same thing goes for Europe. You talk to somebody from Germany or the UK, they say to you right away, they're like, our country's gone, man. It's absolutely gone. Gone. And then that's the money part. Then you take the cultural part in it. It's not racist. It's not racist to embrace your own culture. It's not racist to want to make it so this way it says Christmas holiday on the school calendar. Why do we got to rip off Christmas holiday on the school calendar? Because 10 people who were invited in here are now pissed off that the fact that it says Christmas holiday? This is crazy. And so then they wonder why there becomes this anti-immigrant sentiment. It's not anti-immigration. It's anti what you're doing to my country. It's not anti-anything. It's pro-America. It's pro-Europe. If you're Europe, if you're from Europe, any part of Europe. Right?
There you go.
I love them.
Yeah, that's the news.
That's it, man.
We covered everything.
All right. So listen, a couple of things here I was thinking about when I got my cup of coffee. We want to explain a few things to you about what we're doing over here. First of all, the answer is no. This is not the way we're going to be doing the news every single day. And yes, we know there's an echo. And no, there isn't any rugs on the floor. That stuff is all coming in. We will be downstairs with the big desks and the beautiful sofas and all the screen walls, and we'll have the lapel microphones, and everything's coming in, and thank you so much. So the way we're going to start this, and I want to reiterate this again, because I get a lot of emails asking about how it is that we're rolling it out and what we're rolling it out. I think the two of us here together make a complete clarity for you. We have DennisMichaelLynch.com. As far as I'm concerned, that is the most reliable source of information you will find anywhere. In many cases, we're first to put something out. We're second or third to put something out. In some cases, we're number 10. But the reason why we wait to be number 10 is because we want to make sure we get the story right. We'd rather be number 10 and have it right than be number 3 and get it wrong. Okay. In addition to that, we are doing what's called DMLdaily.com. He's spearheading that. I said, here, take it. And now he is with Mark every single day building DMLdaily.com. It is going to be an incredible resource to where you're going to submit news all the time. We're going to be taking a look at everything that you send us. We're going to put the stuff up that we find that we think is credible. The stuff that's not, we're going to let you know that it's not credible and why it's not credible. We're going to give you what it is that the left is reporting, what it is that the right is reporting. And we're going to say to you, here's the analysis that we've done of these websites. The New York Times, this is what they're putting out. But you must remember, we give them a 2 out of 4 stars. Here's why they don't have 4 out of 4. Same thing, you want to go to Fox News? We give them 3 out of 4 stars. Here's why they don't have 4 out of 4 stars. One of the things that we want to do is eliminate this fake news, what's fake, what's real. It is ridiculous. It's part of the trickery, as far as I'm concerned, of the media, to try to spin your head. You don't know who to believe. Yep. Well, here you go. This is what you're going to believe. So he's spearheading that. And what I'm spearheading for the most part is getting this all together, getting all the technology, all the video, all the writers, everything all together. And what will happen is the part that he's doing and the part that I'm doing is eventually going to come together and collide. And we're going to have one show. We're going to eventually start off with 3 different shows. We're going to start off with Harlan on the Hill. We're going to have one with Scarlett having her own thing. We're going to have something with me and, the Walk and Talk, 3 shows. And then at nighttime, we were going to do something together. And I said to him, you know what, Harlan? First of all, Scarlett is getting married in September. And I said, I don't want to move her to New York, which she's getting married in 5 months. So what she's going to do now is she's going to stay in Houston, and she is going to not only write for the websites, but she is going to spearhead. We just talked about this morning. It's news to you.
Yeah, it is.
She is going to spearhead the next film, They Come to America, The Cost of Refugees. So she is going to be doing that for the next couple of months and then popping in each night to our show that we're going to do at nighttime with the DML report. All right? Yeah. All right, got it. As far as he and I are concerned, we're going to switch back and forth with the Walk and Talk. We're going to do it right in here. I showed you yesterday. We have the treadmill. We got the nice little lake behind us. Cool. It's a nice setting. We'll do that every single day. Probably not an hour, probably more like a half hour. And for the rest of the day, aside from our writers who are doing all the stuff I just explained to you, with all the stuff we're doing with DML Daily and DennisMichaelLynch.com, we will be putting together the single best show you can find at the 8:30 Eastern Standard Time hour. We are waiting for O'Reilly to go halfway through the beginning, and then when he starts selling all of his books and all of his other BS, we're going to come on, and then we're going to allow you to tail off us and go into Tucker at 9 p.m. That half hour that we pump out, I guarantee you now, write it down. You will be begging us, DML, is there any way you guys can make it 1 hour? Mm-hmm. Because it will be the best half hour ever. It's going to have everything. The videos, the interviews, the insight, you guys, we're bringing it in. So 1.5 hour. And I told them, instead of having 3 different shows that are good, I want to have one show that's great. And so that's how we are rolling it out. And then once we know that that's great and we can push that on and produce that all the time, I told you in the beginning when we just signed on here that we just bought last night a $15,000 video mixer, which is key for us because it helps us get this show out faster. It's made by Sony. It's fantastic. It's portable. We could take it outside. We could take it on the road. We could go to DC. We could do whatever we want. It's there. It's fantastic. So, and thank you very much. You're the ones who helped us do that. So once we get that down and we have that great, and we've got that down lickety-split, then we start to open it up to the next show. This is exactly what I told you that we'd be doing a couple of months ago when I said we were going to launch this out. And so that's how it's going to roll out. So that being said, I want to thank you very much. Yesterday, I wound up getting a phenomenal email from somebody who offered us up to $100,000. So I thank that person very much. We were on the phone for a long time yesterday. So if you can donate, we appreciate it. DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate. Every dollar goes towards buying more stuff here. Number 2, please download the app if you haven't done already. You haven't downloaded the app, you're making a mistake. Because eventually, all of this stuff that we're doing, all of it, it's part of the strategy here. All of it is going to be driven completely through the app. A year from now, I hope a year from now, I never ever tell you Facebook again. I don't ever want that to come out of my lips again. App and websites. That's it. We're going to control our own destiny. That's that. So if you don't have that app now, go to the iOS store or Google Play. You search for Dennis Michael Lynch. You download it. All right? It doesn't cost you anything. If they ask you for the credit card, it's only, why do they ask them for the credit card?
I don't know. I don't get that.
We don't get any money. I think you could even press, people tell me you can pass it. But I also think if you want to have another app or something like that, if in the future that costs money, they got your credit card on there. I don't know, but I'm not taking anything. There's no charge for coming onto our app. And that's it. And you got that, and it's all settled out. And that's that. I don't know what else to say. Yeah. I want to thank all of you for all the shares that you give us. All right, even while we're sitting here, you guys are sharing it, and we appreciate it big time. So, you got anything else?
No, that's great.
All right, until tomorrow. God bless you. God bless our troops. God bless the United States of America. And God bless the person who cut this kid's hair. Look how nice this hair is.
I needed it. Oh,
nice
my
haircut.
God.
You know what I'm saying?
I needed
nice
this haircut.
Look at that.